Welcome back to Art Cafe. This is episode 130. In this episode, I spent some time chatting with Danar Worya. Danar has recently done work for Naughty Dog's The Last of Us 2, as well as few other AAA video game titles. I really love his work, as it hits home with the realistic qualities in concept art I always enjoyed from Naughty Dog's artists. Hope you're going to enjoy this episode. Let's go! Yeah, man.
But to be honest, bro, like what I love about US, and I don't know what your experience is at least they are dreamers, you know? Like you can achieve whatever you want, and I feel like in Europe it's more like, you know, stay in line.
That's exactly how it is.
Right? No, you're not special. You're not special. Yep. Come on, stay in line.
Yep. That's the European life there, right there, right in that place.
Yeah.
I agree 100%. That's one of the reasons why, you know, I went back to Europe for a year and I just couldn't stand that culture.
Yeah,
I mean, I've missed the culture. Like I've missed the culture, but then I couldn't stand it either. You know, I think there's something about the way Americans look at life.
Yeah.
If you want to do something, then it's not going to be like, oh, what are you doing? Like for the most part, there are always going to be naggers. Like there's always going to be people that are just, like you cannot do anything, you know?
It's part of it.
Yeah, but for the most part, they're going like, all right, cool, man. Just you do you, man. Like just go and do it. That's for the most part. That's just the best part about it because nobody gets in your way.
Yeah.
If you want to do something, achieve something, then you should work your ass off to get it done, you know?
And it's also like the thing is, it's also when in my experience, when I came to LA, it's like here in Europe, I don't know, for some reason they find it awkward when you ask somebody for help. They find it like you're not a strong person if you ask for help. And then in LA when I'm there, I just noticed everybody is just, you know, like, hey man, I'm looking for this or looking for this job, whatever, or hey man, I'm gonna recommend you to this and that. It's kind of a field of if somebody sees you trying to do something and you're kind of getting there, everybody would love to have a helping hand in it. And I love that about US, you know?
And then there's another layer to that. It was just like, hey man, like, hey, can you introduce me to this person and that person?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, get out of here.
It's a culture, right? It's a culture, right?
That's LA specifically.
Yeah.
You know, that's like where people are trying to ride on your back. And
where did you move?
Like, I moved out south from LA.
Why?
I didn't like it. I didn't like LA anymore. I mean, look, I moved with my family back in 2010, and it was. I mean, back then it was great. It was a great city. I mean, not LA specifically. We were in the West Side for the most part. Now it's like it's not good. We have a kid. It's super unsafe, super dirty, super expensive. Honestly, go to any town in Poland, it looks cleaner than West Side LA. It's insane. Yeah. It's just like the way they, I don't know.
And the amount of money trafficking in LA, it's fucking mind blowing. And then you see the harsh difference between rich and poor there. That's
the mind blowing part. Yeah. That part, I just like when I moved to US, I just could not understand. Like, man, this is like one of the richest countries on earth.
Yeah.
And you have people that are like borderline poverty, you know?
Yeah. Dude.
I haven't seen poverty like that in Eastern Europe at all, ever.
No. It's like The Walking Dead, man. Some of the people there walking, I'm like, damn, it's imagine like you can't imagine what they went through, you know. And the thing also there is like when you're that poor, you get it's like you're not there anymore. So they live it's like the upside down world from Stranger Things.
Yeah, exactly. It's just,
Nobody sees you anymore.
It's very sad though. It's very sad.
Yeah, man. Yeah. But
it is what it is.
It is what it is, man. And
yeah,
before, like, I think we're already starting, right?
Yeah.
Everything good, because I wanted to have this on record. Dude, you've been one of my biggest inspirations, man. I have been following you for fucking years, and you have helped me so much in ways you don't actually know. Yeah, man. It's, because of you, I actually embraced my love for anime and saw the inspiration of anime and manga within every fucking movie or game I see, and it actually taught me how to use reference. And when I look at your images, like, I can see where you have been inspired by, and I love that, man. It's like Quentin Tarantino, it's like you take your inspiration, all of your inspirations of your childhood, you mesh them in one pot, and then add that extra 20% mache to it, and it's just so good, dude. Like, I love it, man. Everything you've been doing for this industry is amazing, man.
Well, I appreciate that. I don't know if I've done a lot at all. I'm just doing what's exciting for the most part. Yeah. I think what podcasts turn into is more of like doing it because I'm hearing voices like that for the most part,
Yeah.
Just like people reaching out and saying like, love the podcast, love what you do, like, help me. It helps me like through the work. It helps me to get better at what I do. All those things like validate the effort,
Yeah, man. It's also like it humanizes the artist that you look up to, because
right,
you probably remember that as well, back in the day of art, of deviant art or whatever. It's so distant from you that you feel like this is a different human being than you for some reason.
Yeah, that's true. It's also the vehicle of getting to know other artists as well, for good and bad,
Yeah, man. I guess that's always an experience.
Yeah, there are some, like, for the most part, I think the vast majority, if not all, of my guests were pretty good. Like, meaning, like, sometimes I wasn't expecting, or I wasn't getting what I expected from the conversation.
Right.
But on the other hand, I was getting something else that I wasn't expecting either, which made it even more interesting,
Yeah.
So it's fascinating because, like, you make assumptions based on the online persona,
right?
And then you talk with the person, and then it's like, oh, all right, okay, you're completely different than your online persona,
Yeah, it's interesting.
And you talk with them,
because some people are like, they're artists, stupid amazing, and then when you talk to them, there's no input of who the person is. But then you have people who are maybe less than him, but when you talk to them, you have a lot of interesting conversations.
Yeah.
And I also keep telling, at these workshops and stuff, when these students and artists come to me and like ask for advice, I'm like, it's actually better to be 50% good at art and 50% good at communication than 90% good at one thing and 20% at the other, because at the end of the day, it's all about communicating your work and not just online or on paper, but also verbally, because you also have to be an interesting person to interact with. And you know that as well. A lot of companies, they don't hire just based on quality, but also based on, are they compatible with our company?
It's true. Yeah, you have to be. I guess there's like a threshold of, hey, like, are you a regular, like, quote unquote regular human being, meaning we're not going to be getting like some weird stuff coming out of you,
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. That's usually what happens.
Yeah.
You get like, I mean, I remember having an interview with Naughty Dog. That was like the longest interview I've ever had, by the way. And the impression I had was not like when I landed in LA to talk with Naughty Dog,
Mm-hmm.
The impression I got was they weren't looking at my work anymore. They were looking at my character at that point. If how I react to feedback, how, like, they've asked me all those questions on how I work and all those things and how I react to it. And that was the interesting part. Like, oh wow, like they're really trying to figure me out, which was cool. But it was exhausting. I remember actually when I came here for the interview, I was sick. I was like super sick, like completely drowsy, coughing, super bad. And I went through like a mill of 10 a.m. to like 7 p.m. constant conversations, like talks and whatever. It's like by the end of the day, I was like, oh man, I'm done.
you were like a inbred Naughty Dog robot. I am officially Naughty Dog. It's like, all right.
The icing on the cake though was literally the conversation stopped, and I think it was HR. Was Candace came over and said like, look, Evan and Christoph want to talk with you. So cool, let's go. And I got the offer the same day. Like, we really like you and want you to work with, and then from there, that's all she wrote.
Did you because I remember when I talked with Shadi and Eitan about this, and they said that you introduced photo bashing to them, right? Did you, around that time, did you expect Last of Us to be as big as it was?
I wasn't expecting anything. The way I looked at it was, well, one of the main reasons why I was interested with Naughty Dog, or even considered looking at Naughty Dog, because I wasn't familiar with Naughty Dog's games for like a long, like I knew Naughty Dog games, but I wasn't meshing it. It was just not my style of the games, right?
Yeah.
And then my friend Hanno started working there. He was working with us at Crytek. We were like hang out not all the time, but a lot compared to others. And it's because of him my work was introduced to Evan and Christoph, in the first place.
Yeah.
And that's what landed me the interview.
Nice.
But he, like, when Hanno started working at Naughty Dog, he started like working there for like months, or even a year earlier than I did. But he would still come down to Germany and meet with like old friends and whatnot. And anytime we talk with him, it was like, dude, it's awesome. It's fucking amazing. Like, it just doesn't even compare.
Yeah.
And when I looked it up, I started like really paying attention to what that company does. And honestly, when I was going there, I was convinced I was gonna be working on like a sequel for Uncharted.
Right.
That's what that was my impression, that's what's gonna happen. And during the interview, when they asked all the questions and we're talking about potentially what we're gonna be working on, I was like, oh wow, I did not expect any of that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but to me, it was, I wasn't particularly happy at the end of my, Crytek career.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't happy with being at that place. And I wanted to make a change. I wasn't enjoying living in Germany anymore either. So this was like a perfect storm to do a move. Which was very, very difficult for family specifically, because like, hey,
obviously,
like it's not a drive anymore. It's you actually have to fly across the globe to get there. But it was good, man. It was good. I wasn't expecting any of it, but I just took it and embraced it. It was just like, hey, like, let's just make the best out of it. And the most, I guess, I mean, you've worked with Bruce, right? Did you ever work with Bruce?
No.
But you met
Bruce.
him, right?
Yeah, I met him.
Yeah. Bruce and Neil, like those two guys. Bruce specifically because Neil is more of a story character. He was taking care of more of a story and a character stuff, right?
Right.
Bruce was more into like more heading the more of the backgrounds and environments and set pieces, all that stuff.
Right.
As a game director. And so I remember working with Bruce because he was an art director on Uncharted, the original Uncharted. And what was striking was that this was like the first person that I've worked with that was knowledgeable about everything.
Yeah.
In regards to game, and had like a very good understanding of how art works.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you're working with the game designer, but he's also like a good art director. You know,
Right.
It's like what the hell? And it was really, really, really interesting. It was really interesting process because like idea was like we want to make The Last of Us look different than Uncharted, and how are we gonna achieve it? So it was almost like the first couple of months was just R&D.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was just like figuring things out, and that was awesome. I love that. I love that process. And then, you know, obviously as we started working on this, Eitan joined like shortly after. Then Aaron Lemonic joined shortly after. I think when I was there, Hyung was there.
Right.
Hyung is still there.
He's still there. Yeah.
Yeah, and Andrew Kim was there. He doesn't work there anymore.
And Nick?
No, Nick joined like way later. Nick and John joined when I went back to Poland.
Oh, wow.
And came back, yeah. I remember Shadi sending me John's work when he was learning.
Right.
And I was like, what is this shit, dude? What is this garbage?
Yeah.
What are you sending me, dude?
You can give one thing to Shadi. It's like he does have an eye for potential talent.
Oh yeah. And the best part, I'm obviously like paraphrasing, but I'm always very direct. I guess anyone you talk with, when I look at someone's art, like I've kind of mellowed down, but I was always very direct. Like, dude, this is like shit, man. Like, you have to fucking like get it, like get it sorted, okay?
Yeah.
Like, lighting was bad, textures are horrible. Like, come on, man. But I wasn't like a dick about it. It was just I was just like, this is what I see, and this is how I feel about it. You know, if you get upset about it, it's like, what am I supposed to do? Like, you want to get better, just like
take that.
You know, I'm just telling you what I see. I'm not saying that I am the best at it, right? But I'm telling you what I see. You're asking me for feedback. I'm telling you the feedback. But John, like, he was just like, all right, cool, I'll fix that, you know? Yeah. So, and then when I came to Naughty Dog, like, oh, this is John Sweeney, right? And he was he was still a concept artist there.
Right.
But his work was like, that was like a few months later. His work was like vastly better. Wow. Not just tiny, but like vastly better.
Right.
I was like, oh shit, dude, like you're really like getting up there, and now he's just slaying.
Yeah, man. What you said about, like, I don't know your experience, but so far, for mine, I've never worked with it's such a good feeling to work with an art director who actually can do art and knows about art, instead of like somebody who got into that position because he was at the company for how many years or whatever, you know?
Right.
And you can just see the difference, because usually, because I talked with John after the game came out, I think a week after, and he was like, the best advice I can give to any art director is just also let the artist have an input. It's like you just give them the plate and see what they come up with back, you know, with what you with the briefing. But I've had many times where, you know, after and also in AAA games, you know, where after a while I felt like I'm just hired for my arm, but not necessarily for my creativity.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
Right, and then you start to doubt yourself. You're like, oh, wait a minute, oh man, like, is it me or is it? So it's really comforting to work with somebody like that, and you grow a lot as well, man.
Yeah,
I think for us, we started for The Last of Us 2. The way it started, I kept harassing Shadi to hire me until he actually did, and because I know he's also super annoying, so I just gave him a bit of his own taste, you know. And yeah, he was super cool about that, man. And you know, I heard from one of the guys that they were working on The Last of Us 2, and this was like 2-3 weeks before the game came out. And just to clarify, The Last of Us, the first game, is the reason I actually started doing environment art. Like,
oh, interesting.
Yeah, man, that was just mind blowing, man. I've never had an experience like that with any game, which for me, I even put it on a pedestal of a movie, you know, what a movie does with me. And after that, we started to collect, you know, see which artists were there, and then it was like a group of 5 or 6 guys, and we started doing daily hangouts and working together and giving each other feedback. We made folders where we dropped all our stuff together, so that everybody could share and learn. And I think you obviously know that as well. Is like the best growth is usually while you're doing the job, because it just forces you to figure out, instead of just
you have no choice.
Yeah, exactly. You have like a couple of hours. You're like, all right, I need to figure out the most fastest way. But the biggest learning experience for me on this project is I'm actually not an artist. I'm more of a problem solver. With that, I mean, like, you have skillful people which can draw everything, and
right.
Like the guys who say you have to like paint and draw everything. You can't use 3D or whatever. But for me, I kind of see myself more as a creator.
Yeah. Everything is a remix though, right? Like the peeps that are saying, hey, like you're not supposed, like, hey, get out of here.
Yeah, man.
Like this is the stigma I was talking about. I mean, I'm beating a dead horse here. But 2000, I remember 2006, 2007, like if you're using photos, like you were, oh my God.
Trash. Yeah.
Yeah.
They called it textures, remember? They didn't say photo bashing. I think that term came with The Last of Us, when people started saying photo bashing. Yeah. And then I went back to your Crisis 2 images. And I was like, holy shit, yeah, like obviously you should do it like this, because he's not gonna paint like 200 hours just for one
exactly
costume,
exactly.
It just doesn't make sense.
The images I've done for this canceled project at Crytek,
right,
it was very much like, I mean, it was very similar in the vibe to The Last of Us.
Yeah.
Right? There was a guy and the girl. It was a forest, right? Like, I mean, there's more to that. Obviously, it's NDA, but
right. I've heard about this, actually.
You could take several images and put it in the Last of Us concept folder, and hey, this could be a location for the game, that kind of. But it wasn't like abandoned or whatever. It was like real world. But the vibe, like the colors, the vibe, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was the one where I actually used photos and I just overpainted. Like that's where it's all started. Like photos.
How did you do that? Like why? Like what was the reason for you to do that?
Like why would I paint a forest? Like I mean, come on, man. Like that's just like if I get an assignment, hey, like we want to, like and I was art director on that project actually.
Oh wow.
We were looking at locations we wanted to build, and like sure I could spend 50 hours on that one painting, right? But it would be literally copying a photo.
Yeah.
Because like we wanted a forest, we wanted some logs, we wanted some like pathway or trail that they're walking through and looking around, just to get a vibe, like what time of day is this? And you could paint that, of course, but I'm not there to prove myself I can paint. I'm there to actually do the job, so everyone else can look at the work and say like, okay, this is what we want to build.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can put the photo in, bash some stuff together and get it done in like 2 or 3 days instead of spending 3 weeks on this one piece,
Yeah, man. And now you have the opposite, right? Where nobody wants to learn the basics and just immediately step into the hard stuff.
Give me solution culture.
yeah, exactly, right. It's I've been going to a lot of workshop especially in Europe. There has been a lot of workshop, obviously, and dude, I keep saying the same thing. It's like if you want to work for Naughty Dog, try to do Naughty Dog images. If you want to work for Warcraft, do that. But I get portfolios full of Warcraft stuff, and I'm like, I don't know how to advise you, because if I advise you, you're not gonna go the direction that this game might ask of you.
Yeah. It's difficult though, right? Yeah. Because like Naughty Dog could decide at this moment to do, I don't know, fucking Pokemon game.
Yeah.
And then what are you supposed to do? You're like doing the Last of Us 3 concepts. Like, no, that's not what we're looking for.
No.
So you never know.
No.
That's why you need to have foundation, because like good art director will see the foundation.
Yeah.
They'll see like, all right, yeah, you can do this.
I think one of the most stupid stuff I've ever heard from somebody was like, dude, concept art means quick art. it's dirty. It's not supposed to look good. And then I was
Who
like,
said that?
a guy from a game company,
All right.
big game company, AAA company. And I was like, then what's the fun of that? What's the fun in that? Like, why would I do this if I have to make shitty looking art the whole time?
Yeah. I don't know, man. Like, people have opinions. I don't think there is one mold that applies everywhere.
No.
You know? Like,
It's
maybe
just
if
you
that's
have
what
to
they
stick.
need.
Yeah, but it's just like, there's so. What's super hard is to maintain your internal, to compose your internal thoughts. It's very hard to throw out the external ones. When people are trying to almost give you bad advice on purpose or something. You know what I mean? Like, it's super hard lately to be composed internal, because that's usually what most of the insecurities come from. It's like, because you hear it a couple of times, then you start to doubt yourself, and that's the biggest fall. I think that's the biggest fall.
I guess depends on the character too. Like, I know some people that just brush it off and just move on, and I know some people that they cannot move on without hearing an opinion.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of, okay, like, do you want to learn and do stuff and produce, or do you want to wait for someone's opinion to see if it aligns with what you want to hear? Because that's what usually what it is, right? Like, if you hear what you want to hear, then it's like, okay, perfect, I know what I'm doing. But when you hear something that you don't want to hear, then it's like you're doubting yourself.
Yeah.
So,
to be honest, man, lately I've been going with my gut feeling, and I'd much rather be in fault, making a mistake, and I went with my gut feeling than, when you listen to somebody else and it actually wasn't that, and you can't blame him because at the end of the day, you went with it.
Yeah, exactly. Let me ask you. I mean, I gotta roll this conversation back a little bit.
Right.
How did you end up doing the work you do? I mean, obviously, environment art specifically was because you saw The Last of Us and got inspired. You've said that already.
Yeah.
But art in general, like, what got you into this industry?
For me, I started with this graphic school. It was back in 2008 or 9. Okay. And I saw that they had
Europe, or was it in...
No, my parents moved back in 97, so I was here since I was a kid. And I lived in like a small village somewhere in the south. And then one of my teachers told me, like, in Rotterdam, there's this graphic school, and for me, I noticed as a kid, and even now, I always try to get into a room where there's somebody which can teach me something, like, I love that feeling where I'm not maybe the stupidest, but I feel like I can gain the most from it. So, I would like, that feeling where you're the best of your school in the middle, and then you go to another school, and then all of a sudden you're like below, and then you go again, right? And there was this class called visualizing in Dutch, and there was this one of my classmates. He was like, "Do you know concept art?" I'm like, "What?" It's like, concept art. This is where you can actually make a living out of drawing stuff for games and stuff. So I typed it in, and I see like Dan Luisi stuff, and like, what the hell? This is is this how they make? Like, I didn't even know that they actually draw something before they make the game, right?
That's the fun part, right? Like, you don't like, now it's kind of funny because, like, we understand it all. Like, all the guts of how the games and movies are made, and VFX. Like, you see a VFX, like, oh yeah, they did it in Maya and fucking Houdini and shit. Like, you get it all. But the first time you learn, it's like, what?
Whoa.
What?
And you're not even imagining of like even earning normal rates. You're just like, it doesn't matter. I just love this, Yeah. And from there on, it's just, to be honest, it was like a couple of years of just doing art, but it wasn't fundamentally strong. It was just, when you do something, you keep doing it, you get good at it, but you don't understand why. And I think that was the case for me, because after I started doing characters first, and after a certain while, I noticed that I'm not growing because there is a process to learning, and I didn't know that process yet. And after I saw I think until I worked with Shadi, I actually found this process of, all right, how do I tackle stuff like this? Until then it was just grinding, and after a while, man, it's just hard work. It's just it tires you, and you don't see the joy of it anymore.
Yeah.
And so going back to that, I did a couple of years of just drawing and painting and everything, and seeing all you guys online and getting inspired by that, and then even not noticing that you guys are working smart. It's not like you're painting every fucking brush strokes or whatever. Even the strokes are thought out. I didn't think about that. I thought like you guys are just you guys just quickly, and I'm always doing
sometimes
this
it's just
like yeah, right. And and then I saw Shadi online on one of his YouTube videos, and that made me so happy because that was the first time that I saw a Middle Eastern guy in this industry. And it sounds stupid right now, but for me, you always, as a kid, you always search for somebody that you can relate to and feel like, okay, if that person can do it, then maybe I can do it as well. And he was always super kind and answering emails and stuff. And finally, I got to meet him at IFCC. He had his talk, and his talk is always good. He's a really charismatic guy. Sometimes sometimes to like a bit too much, you have to like pull him back again. That's Shadi. And ever since he was like, I showed him my work, and he was like, yeah, I'm gonna restart my company soon, One Pixel Brush, and I'll email you. And I thought like, yeah, I'd probably tell that to everybody, right? And then he started emailing me, and I immediately said yes. And from that day on, it was like, man, I think the first image I did for him, the first week, I couldn't sleep. And I fucked that image so bad, man. It looked like somebody who just tried to do art, So I sent it to him. I'm like, hey, man, Shadi, man, I don't know what's happening, dude. And so he made a video. He's like, yeah, you're right. This is shit. But then he went to my art station. He's like, but you can do it. So I do see that. And that's one of the things that I'll always, I'm always grateful for people that stick by me, even though I felt like I was a slow learner or something, Yeah. And he was really good at that, where he sees potential, and if he sees that you're working hard, like he appreciates that way more than somebody who acts cocky and is good at his work.
Yeah. He's a very interesting cat. Shadi. Yeah. Because the way he works with artists, I mean, I've met him so many times already. We haven't had a chance to meet recently, obviously, for obvious reasons, but like the way he approaches artists is very interesting, because he's like, it's almost like a half mentoring, half job kind of deal.
Yeah.
I don't know like specifics on how it is done with like, hey, you're getting paid for an image or you're getting paid for work. Like I don't know any of that. That's his business. Yeah. But I always found it very interesting because, like, as you said, I think that's true. He has this eye for finding like random people and then like making them like actually good artists, Yeah.
It's the thing with him is like what I loved about his process is he made a video every time when he sends a feedback to an image, and he actually shows you what's wrong. No one does that, right? No one does that.
Yeah, no one does that. I usually get an email, like cryptic email, like with some descriptions, like, wait, what am I reading?
Yeah, man. It's like you give a full rendered image, and they're like, yeah, can you change this table and put it there? I'm like, dude, it doesn't change anything. It like maybe in your mind, but it doesn't. Yeah. But then it's hard to explain that, But yeah, for him, it's really. With Shadi, what I loved about it is because I didn't want to work with Shadi just to get paid or to have work. I actually wanted it because I felt like I can grow here. And, I think a lot of people underestimate what they can achieve in 10 years and underestimate what they can achieve in 1 year. Or the other way around, I think. But that's the case is because like even all of these young kids right now, right? Like they want to have what you have, what Mache has within 3 years, or else they failed.
Yeah, it took me 15, 16, 17.
Right? And it's like, it's easy to say 15 years, but you can't even imagine, man, 15 years,
Yeah. But the time's flying. That's the point. That's the part where like I feel like 10 years ago was like yesterday. It's crazy.
Yeah. And then yet when you think about it too much, you notice like, whoa, I was such a different person compared to now.
It's 100%. People change. People change the way we think, the way we look at life. You know, I used to be more obsessed, like very, very, like it kind of the way you say it, like wanted to get solutions right away. I knew I would have to work for them, like work on getting those solutions done. It's not going to happen overnight. But if someone told me, let's say if like 7 years ago, someone told me, hey, like you should pick up this skill, but it's going to take you 2 years to learn it so that you can use it professionally. I was like, fuck, 2 years? That's such a long time. It's not worth it. But then 2 years pass by and you're like, oh, wow, like I could have known that skill by now and I didn't do anything about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And those 2 years are going to pass by because that's how time works. You know?
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I had the same thing with Zbrush. I actually picked it up 2 months ago, and I didn't take any jobs. I'm like, fuck me, I need to really learn this because I can't just go on with bits and pieces of other software, you know? And to be honest, I think you also work with Zbrush, right? There's a lot of misconception.
Not as much anymore.
Yeah?
Yeah, not as much as anymore.
How did you do those Terminator characters, the robots?
A lot of it was 3ds Max and Fusion 360 and painting and photo bashing and everything.
Moi 3D. Oh my god, yeah. That is it.
Fusion 360, not Moi
Fusion,
3D.
Right, Fusion.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Dude, Fusion. Anyone who haven't touched Fusion yet, just go and learn it in an hour.
Oh really?
It's like for reals. It's such an easy software to learn.
But for what is it that you find it?
Like it's a CAD software, right?
Right.
So basically, everything you do in CAD software is very precise.
Okay.
You don't work with polygons, vertices, nothing, right? It's basically like a glorified Boolean machine. Let's put it this way.
Wow.
Because you can go infinitely into, you know. So let's say if you cut out a circle, right?
Right.
In 3D software, if you cut out a circle, it's going to have like a certain amount of faces, right?
Yeah.
So the closer you zoom in, the more jaggy the faces become, right?
Right.
With CAD, it's a circle. It's not. There's no polygons. It's all like NURBS or whatever you're going to call it, right?
Right.
And also, if you cut out something, it's all volume, right? So let's say if you're booleaning a cylinder, it's assuming that everything that is inside that's solid. It's not a surface. You can make it so it's surface, but it's solid, right? Yeah. So you have options. It used to be like CAD, so you would have CAD drawings for architecture or electrical stuff, you know, cars, vehicles, all that stuff, right? You would use CAD software because then you can transfer that data and actually get it machined.
Oh, wow.
And printed and all that stuff, right?
And do you export it?
That's the philosophy. Well, yeah, I mean now you can export it to pretty much anything you want.
Nice.
And that's the part where it's like, oh, all right, okay,
you
know,
dude. I think with every software, I think like as long as you don't have an idea of an image or something in mind, you can get like lost really quick because there's so many tools that you have to, you know, learn, and within the software itself. And I had that actually once with Octane, which I was like, all right, I'm going to follow a whole tutorial. I'm going to do what he does. But then at the end, I was just blank because I was like, what should I do? What can I do? And I think it's very important as an artist to know what to ask of the software. You know, as in like, all right, I need to make this circle here and then a Boolean inside, and then so that you can type it in YouTube, Google, whatever, and you can find your resources. I think that's really, it's almost like a skill to know. That's one of the best skills that I got from Last of Us, is like reference skill. It's just people really underestimate that.
Yeah, people do. I don't know. Like, how do you approach learning software personally? How do you go about this?
I think for me, I always start with like I always have like an idea in mind of what I want to do. Like, all right, I want to do like a robot, or I want to do like a character which looks like that. And then I check out a tutorial, I kind of follow the basics, kind of get my mind around it, and then usually after the tutorial I try to do it, and then if I forget something, I have my notebooks which I note everything which I think I would need if I'm gonna do it, right? But man, it's like you said, like it's the first 2-3 months you just have to get used to it, whatever interface or whatever tool it is, but after a while like it's just so intuitive, it goes without thinking about it, and everything the first few months is boring and fucked up to do, but man, it gains so much. I feel like a tool like Zbrush or software has helped me open up my creativity in so many ways which other tools couldn't do for me, because I tried to do, like, it was my last resort, man. I tried to even do sculpting in Blender, it's like no, it's for sculpting. ZBrush has been super fun so far. And with Blender, actually, when I started learning it, it was Jama. It was like 2 years ago or something. He told us, like, get on Blender, it's gonna be something. And this was way before anybody said anything, because online there was only Blender Guru tutorials on Blender.
Right.
So I thought, like, all right, I'm gonna learn this tool while I'm doing Last of Us, so that I force myself to understand it immediately. And that was one of the worst weeks of my life.
Was it 2.79, right? That was before 2.8, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
2.79. I'm also a hard ass, man. When like a software updates, I hate that so much. I'm like, it was already good. Why are you making me, forcing myself to doubt myself again? Like 2.8, 2.81, 2.83. And dude, the last 3-4 months, I just stopped looking at new tools and new add-ons, and I'm just going crazy, man. I feel like I talked with this about Mike Hill, and he was telling me I'm just still using basic 3ds Max. Basic tools, like I don't spend time in the add-ons and stuff, because
what's funny? 3ds Max is not basic.
No, as in
it's like so advanced.
Yeah, but in the sense of he's still using the tools within 3ds Max. He's not switching from anything else. And he's like, it's still 3ds Max from 7 years that I'm still using the same thing. And it's just it's this new culture in the industry where, have you heard about this? Hey guys, you should try out that. And you get lost in so much tools and add-ons that the problem is when you can't figure out. But let's say you download an add-on, right, and it's super useful with whatever tool it is, and it doesn't work for that one day, and this is an issue Blender really has, right? What are you gonna do? Because the add-on doesn't work, and apparently you don't know the tool by heart, so you're just fucked at that.
Yeah. That's the frustrating part about Blender, and one of the reasons why I use Blender for work. There's certain projects that I use it for. There's certain specific areas of Blender that are very useful and very time efficient, right?
Yeah.
On its base, and I use it for that. But anything that I need for like a ironclad, solid, I know what I'm doing, this has to be produced, no errors, I don't have time to fuck around. I'm using 3ds Max. There's just no other way for me to get any work done. I mean, I've been doing this project recently where I built this thing. I'm not gonna say what, obviously NDA, but the end result was like something north of 20 million polygons. So it was a big thing, right? And it had everything that I needed to have in it, and it was very easy for me to work around. Imagine doing 20 million polygons in Blender.
Impossible.
That's just not going to happen, right? And of course, you could say, oh yeah, you can break it up to like several files and have those areas as specific files and work it that way. I was like, yeah, you can, but then how are you going to show the whole thing to a client?
Exactly.
It's like, oh, wait, let me load the other file so I can show you this part.
And that's just another step, another extra step, which you don't want to take. And the thing about Blender also is like, it just stops after a certain polygon count, I think. It doesn't matter what kind of graphic card, CPU you have.
It's just like, the same with Eevee. Eevee is perfect for like for like small stuff, it's perfect. Just renders quick. It's ready to go. It's perfect. The moment you go into like complex scenes, if they only have to do one thing to make Eevee like amazing, let you choose which graphics card it's gonna render on.
Right.
Just fucking do that already.
Yeah.
Right. That's just here's what drives me crazy about Blender, and I think it's an amazing software. It has amazing potential. It has a potential to basically destroy all the like. It already pushes all the other software to do better, right?
Yeah.
It already does that, so that's great. But it has a potential to be like literally the leading industry software for a lot of work. It has potential to do that, but there's always a tiny thing that everyone considers industry standard that for whatever reason in Blender is not, because hey, this is the better way of work. Like, no, you fucks.
Yeah, man.
There's a reason why it's called industry standards, because like people are fucking used to it, you know?
Yeah.
Not only used to it, but over 20 something years, they figured out that that's the best way to deal about that, you know? So, you know, those
like
those
if it's
small,
not broken, yeah. And Control Z, man. Where the heck? When are they gonna? Like Blender taught me one thing, man. Is I think never counting on Control Z anymore. Oh yeah,
they fixed that, yeah. Because okay, for those who are not privy, the previous version of Control Z was that it was reloading the whole scene.
Oh right.
Like it was undoing, but every time you would undo, it was basically reloading the whole scene.
Yeah.
So it was just impossible to work with. They fixed that. Like it's faster, for sure. It's faster for sure. It used to be like, yeah, you would have 2 million polygons. It was just like you Control Z and you wait for 20 seconds.
Yeah,
it's
man.
Like, what the hell,
dude? It's even like for me, it gave me so much trauma back in the day that I just never press it. You know, like I believe you, but I'm still like, just take those 2 buttons out.
But I hear what you're saying though. Like there is, and we've been talking about this a few times on the podcast already. There is something called like the software fatigue, like the learning fatigue. You know, there's only as much as you can learn, and yeah, that pursuit of, oh, there's always something new. Like check out this new thing. You know, that's awesome. Let's swap. Like, okay, so for instance, you've mentioned sculpting in Blender, right?
Right. Yeah.
So like everyone's like, oh, like I don't have to use Zbrush anymore because it has a cloth tool, right?
Yeah.
Abandon Zbrush. We have a cloth tool, right? And then new version of Zbrush comes in a month later with the cloth tool. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, like you're always gonna be in a situation where, and I'm not talking specifically about Blender and Zbrush, but in general, you're always gonna be in a situation where each software is going to get that tool eventually, and one day one software is going to be on the top because it has this one tool that everyone's super excited about, but then the other day the other software is going to be better because it came out with something even better, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just like, are you going to swap your entire pipeline every time that happens, you know?
Exactly.
So I don't know.
That's one of the biggest things for me is I've tried so many softwares. At this point, I'm like, no, I'm just fine with like 2 or 3, and that's it.
Yeah.
And I talk with a lot of like guys about this, Eitan and stuff as well. Is, you know, a lot of people are focusing on all these cool 3D stuff, but there's a whole fucking difference between having a super realistic 3D and then pushing it in Photoshop. It's, you know, a good image if you do a lot of it in 3D, right? Like environment. Right. Then if you don't know how to push it in Photoshop, it's still gonna look the 3D part. You know, it's
for the most
still
part, yeah.
Yeah, it's still the fundamental of, you know, it's not that you're painting studies just so you can paint your environments. No, it's you actually understanding the lighting self, so that when you do something in 3D, you know when the shadow is a bit too light or when this and that happens, you know. And it's just a lot of people when they see, and I've had this issue with, I've talked about this with Shadi as well. It's like when they see videos from Shadi or they see how quick Jama does it, they think, oh, okay, so I can make a cool image really quick right now instead of oh, this is just a fast way of doing something that I already should know.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and with Shadi, he's been saying cheat this and cheat that, but I think a lot of people don't understand this. What he means is like cheat once you understand the fundamentals of art a bit. You know, it's not like start immediately with that.
Right.
Because there's a lot of youngins where they start with that, and you know, we had guys who were like 21 who started working on The Last of Us 2 as well, you know, just the same as us. And at that point, I was so happy that I got it way later, you know, because at early stages, you always are like, oh man, I wish I had it now instead of later. There's these other guys who get this work sooner or faster. But I noticed I have a bigger appreciation for Last of Us 2, and with what I achieved, than if I did this when I was 20. Then everything would come way faster, and I feel like, oh, this is just another, you know, game or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to feel that way eventually about pretty much every project you're going to work on.
Yeah, man. Fuck, yeah. Yeah. I'm so, you know, for me, that my next move, I'm trying to get into the film scene and seeing how that is. And it's just, I think you're like that as well. It's just keep challenging yourself in some other areas, because I don't want to be settled in like one type of work, you know?
Right. Yeah. Film is interesting.
What's the big difference for you?
You work with less people.
Right.
That's about it.
How about quality work? Like when they saw your, you know, what was your transition? What was your most challenging project, you would say?
I don't know. I'll tell you this though. The biggest difference, I think the biggest similarity actually between games and video games and film, is that much like with video games, where it really matters which company you land in and what kind of art director you have will determine what kind of work you're going to be doing. Right. Whether it's going to be like learning process and getting really good at, you know, painting or whatever, right? And exploring and learning. Let's say you're you know, The Last of Us 2 experience, you would have a vastly different experience working for a major project like that, but a completely different art director and completely different company. Yeah. Where your work would be just like, I just need your hand, you know? Right. Yeah. I just need you to, you know, solve problems real quick because we need to solve 20 problems a day. Wow. That can easily happen in video games. Like I've seen that happen too. Yeah. Whereas like I don't need rendered images, I just need sketches, right? Exactly. It's exactly same in film. Exactly same. Right. Because there are production designers in film that understand that creative process take time, but they also are in a position where they don't need to deliver volume for producers and for studios to see that the work is done. Right. But instead, they're making sure that the sets and everything is done correctly, you know? Yeah. Versus there are production designers that maybe have less experience, or they just prefer working that way, where they don't care about the quality. They care about volume. Well, not volume specifically, but solving problems. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So it's a major, it's the major similarity, I would say. And, you know, it's... Which one is more you? I don't like rushing shit. I think that's whack. If someone asks me for 20 ideas, I was like, why do you hire me then? Yeah. You know? You've seen that, but work. That's just me. Yeah, I'll do it. Sure. I'll do it, right? I mean, sometimes I don't want to, but if I'm on like a longer project and I have a good relationship with the person, I'll do it. Right. But that's just not... You're not going to get the best out of me. No. If we work that way. And on top of that, you're going to feel like shit. Oh yeah. And you know, the way I've looked at films in the beginning was like, what is the best project I can get on? And as the time progressed, I've learned who is the best person I can work with. Yeah. Instead, where are the relationships I can make? Right. You know, I don't know. Film is interesting. I don't think it's end all be all though. Like I feel like films and games are on the same level in terms of what you can achieve. Right, because this is
because it's the thing that I've been hearing a lot from guys who are working on film is like, it's quick, you don't have time to render, you don't have time to do
It
this and
depends who
that.
you work with. Yeah.
Yeah. And for me, like, honestly, I enjoy the way, like, the type of work I do, realistic and stuff, and I'd much rather be hired by somebody who makes a lesser movie and hires me for that quality than somebody who's like, all right, do something that you are not taught at, that's not your main thing. Because I feel like I am one of those persons which I always feel like I'm letting somebody down. I don't know who this person is, but it's like, it's really getting into me if it's not quality. Like, I try to treat every image, and especially with The Last of Us, that was the case, as if it's my personal, like sometimes Shady gave us like a time frame of 25 hours. I spent like 40 on it.
Yeah. Do you have that thing, by the way? I still have it, where you start a new project and you're like super stressed to make sure your impression is going to be good in the first place.
Yeah.
But then also like super careful so you're not overshooting yourself.
Right.
And then putting in a position where you're going to be miserable and working like extra time all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot, man. I just got a new client which I'm working for right now, and they're a smaller tech company, but the cool thing is, man, that I learned that one thing I have to do from now on is when I email, I need to know if I can post my work after or when this thing doesn't go out.
Right.
Because, I've had moments, and I've had with like big companies as well, AAA companies, where like the trailer of the game came out and I couldn't even share that because apparently because of some ruling in the NDA. No, it wasn't the NDA. They send a mail to everybody at the company, but they forgot to send it to me.
Right.
So they actually
have it in contract.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like in my contract, it didn't say anything like that. But for me, at that point already, it was like, all right, then why the fuck am I doing this if I'm already trying to, do the stuff that I actually am here to do, which is art, and I have to fight for showing that, dude, these games, we are, like John said it perfectly to me. He's like, concept artists are like the frontiers, we're the first guy in line. We are trying to figure stuff out. And really, I feel like in this industry, there's not a lot of respect for that field. And I think a lot of it is our own issue. Our problem as well is because not a lot of us are outgoing people or can manage a conversation against somebody who is maybe a bit more alpha in the industry,
Yeah, that's correct. You could say like, oh, this, like we don't get the respect we deserve, and like I don't think that's the case. I think the reality is vast majority of artists are completely illiterate in business.
We just say yes. Oh yes, please.
Yeah.
It's
like, oh, I can get more than McDonald's. Okay, cool. I'm in.
Dude, you just have to act like Connor, man. The walk that he always does. You just have to walk in like. I've been lately. I know that you have been in the UFC like in the past. I don't know, for some reason, because of this whole epidemic thing, I just got into it super hard, man. And I'm a huge Conor McGregor fan. I don't care what anybody says. I think
he's an interesting person for sure.
For sure, yeah.
He changed UFC.
Yeah,
like,
man.
He literally changed it for everyone. So
a lot of my
love him or hate him,
He did it. A lot love him or hate him. The thing is a lot of my inspirational guys actually are like, you're gonna laugh. It's like Kanye West, I love Conor McGregor. It's all of these guys who they're not afraid of speaking out their mind. It's the thing is everybody sees them as a clown. Why? Because they're trying to poke them in that way.
Yeah,
they
have personality. Like this is what people should understand, and you can agree or disagree on person's beliefs and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But the reality is, vast majority of, if not every single, I would say vast majority, if not every single, super driven, super talented, super super achieving personality, they have such a large ego, and such a large drive to make sure that they are going to succeed in what they want, and they'll push everyone away, everyone out of the way to make sure that happens. Like, watch what was the Netflix, the latest Netflix, it wasn't the latest, the Michael Jordan Netflix,
oh right, yeah, he's an asshole, but he deserves, like, a lot of he deserves to be that.
The Last
it was
Dance.
The Chicago Bull. Yeah.
The Last Dance. Like, everyone should watch it. Like, this is exactly what hyperachievers act like, not act like, but are in a lots of ways. Because if you stop and listen to opinions and then try to mold yourself around what people think on that high level, what happens is you get distracted from getting more reps into what you know is going to work.
Yeah.
What you're convinced is going to work, you know? Yeah. So,
it's also,
I start to understand that, you know?
It's to say, there's also this documentary on Netflix on Dr. Dre and Jimmy Iovine. And Jimmy, I think you would love that one as well. It's a 4-part miniseries. And when I hear Jimmy Iovine talk, I love how aggressive he is in a way of, he's like, when you're going for something, don't look left and back. It's like on the tracks when horses, why do I have that thing before their eyes?
It's collapse,
because, exactly. If they look left and right, they're gonna collapse. It's the same for you. If you ask too much opinions, your idea is gonna collapse and you're gonna doubt yourself.
Yeah.
And if you noticed, a lot of these guys who are at the position like that, has a mentality like that, as in, no, I know what's best. Even though maybe most of the time they're wrong, at least they're wrong knowing that they chose something that they chose for, you know?
Yeah. Very unapologetic. Yeah.
Yeah. And
they seem to be assholes, but once you understand what it takes to get to that level, it's not something you're going to achieve by just, I can do it. Like, that's not how, I mean, that's just not going to happen.
Can you imagine, like, there's been a lot of rumors about James Cameron being an asshole. And first time somebody said that to me, I'm like, obviously, man, he's running a fucking 20,000 people show every day. You think he has time to be nice to you? Like, every minute, every second counts for him, you know?
I wonder about those rumors, though. Like, I know personally, I know pretty much anyone, like, not anyone. Most of the concept artists and illustrators that worked on Avatar, I know them personally. I've met with them personally. Every single one of them said this: if you try to bullshit him, he will destroy you.
Perfect.
He just sees through bullshit. If he knows you're a real deal and you do the work and you're like good at what you do, he will respect the shit out of you.
Yeah.
He will still expect, because you're working on the highest level for one of the biggest franchise. There is hundreds of concept artists that would line up and do it for free.
They would even pay.
He knows, like, you have to think about that. I mean, he built some of the big, like, he built and he made some of the most iconic movies ever.
Yeah.
Right? So he worked to get to that point where he can say, it's my way or highway.
Yeah.
For past 30, 40 years, like 30 years or something, right?
Yeah.
So he has the luxury of saying, like, I've made so much work, so much good work, that I'm at the point where I can just make decisions. I've never heard bad things about him, actually.
It's it's the way I think people perceive it.
Right.
Like, somebody can be, for example,
but I feel those are like the keyboard warriors, They're just like, I've heard about this guy. And it's like, it's just, I don't know. Like, I feel like the culture these days is like someone writes something. It could be a random person from anywhere in the world. And that's like news and facts all of a sudden, Dude, it's like, wait, what? Like, have you ever actually met this person in person? It's like, no, I've heard it from friends. Like, well, that's not news. That's just your opinion,
Exactly. Opinion based not on facts, but just rumors.
No, that's what frustrates me about social media and like why I've stepped out of it. It's just like, it's all like gossip. And people take it so seriously, and get addicted to it. It's just like, nah.
I think it forces you to have an opinion on every small thing in this world, man.
Yeah.
And I'm just tired of it. No.
Yeah.
Did you heard with like did you heard what Trump said? I'm like, it's nothing new compared to the 4 years. Like the first year I was like, whoa, shocked. now it's not even, like, I don't even care, because I know he said it will fly out. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
don't
it
care
will
about
just
any
fade
of
away.
that,
I don't
dude.
care, man. Like, it doesn't do me anything directly.
Leave me alone.
Leave me, just leave me alone.
Leave me alone,
And I
dude.
think a lot of, for me, if you really want to get better, right? If you already are a person which thinks about their feelings, and like, oh, this guy was too harsh against me for feedback or something, then you're not capable for this industry.
Yeah. I mean, that's basically what it is. Like, you have to grow a thick skin,
Yeah.
I remember when I was growing up. How old are you, by the way?
29.
29. Yeah, so you're not like super young. So
No.
when you were, you were growing up, part of your life in the Middle East,
Yeah.
But you remember, like, it used to be like kids used to have like so much more freedom. Like, the assumption was like, hey, just don't be stupid and don't hurt yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
And then go outside, go outside.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if you would let your kid outside to like a playground without supervision these days, you'd be arrested.
Yeah, dude. I can't
And that
even
used to be a
imagine, man.
normality back then.
Yeah. I've
Yeah.
just I'm actually we were planning on, me and my girlfriend, to move to LA for 3 months, see how it's there. But right now it's like, we were like, all right, we want to try out LA, but we were just too scared to stay there for too long for some reason. And dude, I have walked alone in the Middle East, in country there, at night, and I wasn't scared. But for some reason, when I'm walking in LA at night, I get super scared, because of the fact that, especially for a European, knowing that somebody can potentially have a gun on him is just super frightening to me.
It's LA is the way it's built. You make a wrong turn, you walk a block, and you're in like ghetto, basically.
Yeah, man. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty. It has some really sketchy areas. When I was moving here, it was getting better, like in terms of crime and everything. It was just like progressively getting better.
Right.
And then last 4 years, I would say last 3-4 years, it all just spiraled down, dude. It's like, I don't know what are the policies, what happened, like what's the reasons, but you see tent cities everywhere. Like, the homelessness problem in LA is, come on, man. That's just like, how can city allow to do that in the first place? And then, the biggest one is like, I don't even care about people with guns anymore. I care about people who are like crazy, like people who have serious mental issues, mental health problems that should get help. And instead they're just thrown into streets and behave erratically. Like, that's where the most crime is,
Yeah.
And it's just like, fuck, dude. That's insane.
It's just mind-boggling, man. And I think also
too many people too.
And to be honest, like, back in the day, I always had this imagination in my head, like, oh, I'm a left guy, If there's a thing called right system or whatever, I'm from the left. But lately, man, even like the harsh left for me is as bad as harsh right, because from both sides,
it's all noise, dude. It's all noise.
It's all aggression. At the end of the day, if you're not with me, you're against me. And I just hate that mentality.
It's just noise. Man. Yeah, I don't like that subject personally.
No,
not because
really hard, man.
It's just too much, man.
Yeah, exactly. It's too much. And then at the same time, you're trying to have fun. Exactly. Yeah, you're trying to have fun with your art. Like, at the same time, I totally, like, when you posted that on Facebook saying like, I'm off social media for a while, and I went through my own Facebook. I'm like, I barely see art anymore. I just see political opinions of everybody, which I don't care about, actually.
Yeah, I could not give a flying fuck about that. Like, I literally past 2 years started filtering down. Anytime someone posts political stuff or food pictures, like, oh, I'm out,
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't think I've ever had anyone reach out like, hey, why did you unfollow me? Like, I don't think I ever had that. But if anyone asks like why, it's like, I don't care, man. Like, Look, okay, so like you don't have kids, right?
No.
It's just you and your girlfriend and Art, right?
Yeah.
So your life is pretty simple.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's just face it, right?
Yeah.
Once you have kids, like your time becomes really limited, because like any time you spend on something that's not work or your personal work or the leisure that you like really want to have personally, you should be spending that time with family and kids specifically. Like kids just need to have parents' presence. Like
for sure,
they
man.
need you. They just like crave to have you around and do stuff with them. Like you see the difference. You start to see the difference when you're around and you're doing something with your kids versus when you're always busy and you see them like being disappointed.
Right.
You know, that's just heartbreaking.
Those breaks you. Yeah. And especially, man, the first 5 years of a kid's, it's the most important. That's how like he's going to perceive the world.
I do regret some periods of time where I was working way too much instead of spending time with my kid. There was some periods of time like that. So like that's one of the reasons also why we moved out, you know, like it's just like I'm not interested in being in a rat's race, and I work from home anyway, so it doesn't matter where I live.
True.
You know, for the most part, I did this experiment where I commuted to work just to see if I would, you know, still be interested in being in the studio, and I fucking hated it.
Yeah.
I loved working on the project. Don't get me wrong. I loved meeting with the people and hanging out with the friends that I have there. But that's it. That's not enough for me to like, you know. And yeah. I don't know, like with everything going on, like once you have kids, like once you have all the work you do, and then you want to do your personal work, and you want, or even just like, hey, I'm just gonna go for a hike, or I'm gonna play video games, I'm gonna watch a movie, I want to watch Netflix. Like that's the time you need for yourself too, you know?
Yeah.
And then when you get on social media, all it does is, I used to think that social media would be, and I still think to a certain degree, I think Instagram is still like a very good platform to do that stuff, where you promote yourself as an artist, you promote what you can do, and you get people excited about your work. Because like at the end of the day, when I see like Eitan's new pictures, or like, you know, Jama's new images, or, you know, when my friend Ash shares me his new work, like all of those things, when I see that, it's like I get super excited. It's like, oh wow, like you've put this extra effort into this, like it looks amazing, you know. It's still exciting stuff.
Yeah,
I love to see that. I love to get surprised seeing that as well, you know. Sometimes friends will send me work and I'll, you know, look at it as like, oh shit, like that's just gonna be so awesome when you release it, you know. Or when they drop it, it's like, oh wow, like holy crap, you know. You see that as like, holy crap. So for that, I love social media for that, you know, because it just connects you with artists, and you can see that. And then sometimes you can discover things you've never even imagined you can discover, right? But then it also, so that's the positivity being amplified. But if you're not vigilant, it's just a slot machine. Right. It's just a slot machine. It just asks you to be there and just asks for your time. And what's the biggest issue I have with social media is that by nature, most of us, when we start complaining, we get riled up, and we're paying attention then. Like we're paying a lot of attention to being upset.
Right.
And that's what social media does the best. Like gets you upset, rile you up about some shit you don't want to hear about, and then it's like, fuck, oh my god, this guy, and then you get like super railed up and like super aggro, and then like, here's my opinion, and you start writing that down and get into arguments for no reason. So when I've recognized that pretty early, I feel like, and you know, 2016, it was the last time I really paid attention to politics, and I was like, fuck, I'm done. No more news, no more anything. No. And then only recently I started paying attention again, just because, hey man, like we're locked down, like what's going, like, you know, there's a pandemic going on, there's this going on, and now the schools are closed. Like those are the things that affect your life on the very, very personal level, and you have to, like, you're forced. I hate it, but you're forced to pay attention. Yeah. But to me, it's like, no, there's a cutoff point. Like, I will pay enough attention to know what's going on, to know how to react. But I'm not going to go into any discussions. I don't give a fuck.
No. And to be honest, like, our opinions doesn't matter as well on that subject.
Yeah.
I think a lot of these stuff is, we as humans have a tendency of feeling to belong in a group or somewhere, or
tribalism. Yeah. It's still in us. It's still the 250,000 years of evolution. It's not going to be wiped in 10 years. So
no, for sure, man. For sure. And I think, in all of the positive or negative changes, it is going to change, but it, like everything else, it needs time, and we're impatient, man. That's it.
Yeah. We're very impatient as people.
Like, sometimes, even with work, man, I notice that if I don't see anything workable within 20 minutes, I give up. And I'm like, what the fuck? What the hell, dude?
That happens so often, though, right? Like, you have those unrealistic expectations that you can do something and then, like, it's not working. And how do you actually deal with that? Like, how do you get past that first doubt? Because everyone has it.
Yeah, man. Dude, it's lately I have a dog as well, and lately I like, when something doesn't work at that moment, I try to get off my PC and maybe take a walk or something and get my mind off it. Like, a lot of what I've been doing lately, the past, I think, half year to a year, first thing I did is I went to a psychologist because I wanted to see what are the things that triggers me to become random angry and I couldn't focus on my job, or where does the insecurities come from? Because you probably know that as well, is if you don't have a good process or for your work, or you don't have a good mental stability, or you don't know yourself as well, there's a lot of stuff that can trigger you to think that you're not doing well, in your work.
Yeah.
Because everybody has like an off day. But now when I notice that it's an off day, I'm not as harsh to myself compared to back in the day where I couldn't sleep at that night and I'm like, I'm total shit. And then I talk to other people to convince me that I'm not. And I just, I think it's as long as you're not mentally stable and grown, so let's put it like this. For me, as long as my life is balanced and my work is chaotic, I'm fine with that. But the other way around, that would influence my work a lot, which I couldn't do.
Once your life gets in shambles, or like something's going on, it just affects your work so dramatically.
Yeah, you probably had that as well, right? Where maybe something traumatic happened, and then at that moment you notice, like, you're on a project or somebody sends you an image and you just don't give a fuck about it. Like, your brain just doesn't care anything about art or whatever. Even if you have the greatest project, you're like, all right, I don't want to think about it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the big issue, where if you run yourself into a corner of doing work and work and work all the time, and you don't leave yourself a room to sort of like reflect and maybe take care of something else, or have time to spend time with family, go for a walk or exercise, any of that stuff. Because like it's such an easy thing to do, where it's like, I could go to the gym or go for a bike ride or do whatever, right? And then I know it's gonna be good for my health, but damn, like, I could have done so much work during that time, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a trap. It's a trap because
it's the thing. Like, if you just, LeBron James is spending 1.5 million a year just on his mental stability, his body, his training, his regime, because he noticed that if you're not balanced within the inside, you're producing shit from the outside.
Yeah.
And like, nowadays I'm also taking 1 day off of anything. And like, I bought, what was it? The Ghost in the Shell manga. I got the Nausicaa, Alita. I'm like, all right, I need to find my love and the reason why I started this, because I had this small period where I became this egotistic, pretentious prick saying, oh yeah, like, there's this moment.
Yeah, most of us get through that phase.
Right?
For sure.
And then you're like, shut up, man. There's nothing wrong with any of this, and it's just it's just a learning process, man. I just try to be conscious about it every week and every day, and it's usually the small things which I'm proud of instead of the big steps, because you probably had that with any of your favorite projects. Is when I got onto The Last of Us, I thought like, oh my god, I'm there, right? I have fun. That's it. I finished the game. Yeah. And then you notice life just goes on again. And then Last of Us 2 release date came and it got released. And for me, I was so hyped and emotional and excited. And then that also moves on. And I think it's a really good learning process for me, as in you will always get used to anything. It doesn't matter what you have.
Yeah. Yeah. The reality is all of those projects, some are gonna be better, some are gonna be worse. Some of them might be iconic if you get lucky, and be like on the really iconic project. But whether it's iconic or not, the truth is, for the most part, either a few days later, few months later, or a few years later, nobody will give a fuck about what you did for that project.
Exactly.
I would say months at tops. Maybe a year or two, people would still pay attention. Maybe a few years if it was something like super iconic. But there's always something new, something better, something more interesting,
Yeah.
And then you just realize like, all right, what am I doing it for? Like if all you're doing it for is just that to get that attention that you got done something great, then that's gonna fade away and make you upset like pretty quickly. Because you're going to realize like, hey, nobody's giving a fuck about me anymore, about this thing I've done that I was so proud of. I still have to keep going and move on and do something else,
Yeah. And the people that I want to make proud of it are the people that know me direct, which they know the struggle and they know what I went through. That's the most important part, because, online and how people behave and react, like you can hear awesome the whole day, but if you have a shitty day, that's not going to help you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not. And I also like, I had this with movies, with games, with everything. I was like, all right, I'm not going to spend a time on it unless it has like a 85% fresh on Rotten Tomato, blah, blah. You know what I mean? And it's just, even that, man, I'm just so tired of having everything, like above a 10. Like everything has to have a grade, or everything has to have a certain type of quality, because that's so tiring, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like I try not to pay attention to ratings of movies either.
No,
like
no.
If I hear from a friend like, hey, you should check it out, then I'll check it out. But yeah, like you're right though. Like ratings, what it matters, I feel, and makes sense, is like when you're buying something that you're gonna use on a daily basis, then you want to make sure you're getting a good product. You're paying a price for reliability or looks, whatever that is, right?
Right.
But you want to have something that you're gonna be fine with, and you don't have to change that every few months, or even if you do, like it's serving the purpose that you want, and it's not gonna break for whatever reason. That's what makes sense.
How was your response to, because you spend a lot of time on the Ghost in the Shell movie, right? Which, by the way, I really like. I adored. I'm one of the guys which was later into Ghost in the Shell, so I don't know what anybody has to say about it. But when you spend so much time on a project like that, right, and then you see the responses of the butthurt people, what is your initial,
give a fuck.
Right?
I didn't pay attention to it. I have my own opinion about the movie. What I stick to for the most part is I had a blast working on the film.
Yeah, well, you can see it with your work, man.
That's the only thing that really matters to me, because like everything else, once you work in the film industry, you start to realize that, well, first of all, I don't know, like 85% of the movies are never made. Maybe 90% of the movies are never made. Like it just starts and ends. Sometimes it starts and ends right away. Sometimes it goes to a script and maybe the script is done. Maybe the art department is there already for a couple of weeks and it ends. Sometimes you have shows where the art department starts and ends at the same day. Whoa. It's just like it's very hectic. It's almost impossible to make movies. Let's put it this way, because like if you think about it, like a lot of those movies, even like someone will say like, oh, there should be a movie about this. Like, yeah, but think about it from a financial perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
If the studio wants to make a movie that's going to be a hit, they gotta spend at least $200 million, like $100 million on it. Yeah. That's a giant investment, right? Man. And now the COVID hits, for instance, right? And then all the theaters are shut down. And how are they gonna make the movie, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna stream on Netflix. Well, Netflix has everyone by the balls and say like, okay, we're just gonna give you this amount, to release that. And what are you gonna do, right?
Yeah.
So like, there's a lot of layers to what makes a movie successful. And then once you've like calculated on okay, this is gonna be a good idea to make a movie about that because potentially it could make money, right? There's enough audience for it to see. Like, people have to see the movie and pay to see the movie for the movie to make money.
Yeah.
Right? Whether it's through going to theaters or merchandise related to it. If it's like a new IP, who's going to buy a merchandise?
Sure.
Unless it's like a hit, which you never can predict, right? So there's a lot of things that go into the financials of how the movies are made. And then you add this another layer of hundreds of people that have to be hired and click together and work together well and be like absolutely obsessed about franchise and have great ideas and timing. Like, it's almost impossible. So when you see people like, there are people like James Cameron or Ridley Scott, those icons of the industry, where they have an ability to make sure that at least half or more than half of their team is rock stars, basically,
right?
The best in the industry, and they will for sure do the job, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, you've worked on projects already. Artists that on the surface they present themselves really great, but at the end of the day, they cannot even take feedback, for instance, right?
No. Yeah.
Or they just do their own shit and they don't care about the project. There's just many things, and then multiply it by 100. Because everyone can be that way. Maybe the DP is not the right fit for the director. Maybe the writers are not the right fit for the kind of script they're doing.
Yeah.
There's just so many things that can go wrong, and they're out of your control as an artist. That's like, why would you pay attention to that? Like, I've learned that pretty much on the very first or second show I worked on. It was like, I have no control over whether this movie is gonna be good or not. No. What I have control over is having fun making the movie and making the best out of it with my art.
Yeah.
That's the only control I have. And then if I want to make something that is badass and the way I wanted it, I just have to make my own.
Yeah.
That's really what it is, right?
And now they're like making games based on your design. I'm not going to say the name, but I always call, like, when I see like kind of cyberpunky games and stuff, I always call them Mache the Game, because like I've been telling my
I have not invented
but you refine that idea of realism within that realm.
I don't know.
I feel like,
I don't know.
From me,
I feel like this is a little bit of a stretch, but I've seen what they've done with Cyberpunk. It's amazing.
Oh yeah, it looks amazing.
They have some great ideas, and I know some guys who work there as well. Great people.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had my artwork being a wallpaper on some artist screens, and then quote unquote news organizations. I don't call them news. I call them fucking lazy cunts.
Right.
Figured like, oh, that's official work for Cyberpunk. And then all of my fucking Showtime shit is like now labeled Cyberpunk. Everyone's like, hey guys, you fucks. That's a registered IP. Like, fuck off. For reals.
Yeah, man. I don't fucking blame you, man. Especially when you spend so much time on it,
Yeah. And it's just laziness. It's really what it is. And a lot of that work is not even remotely close to what those guys do,
No.
So,
dude, in general, people, even like within this industry, right? Maybe 10 to 15% knows what good art is.
Yeah.
It's really hard to differentiate for people.
For an average person and for producers and for most of the directors and financial people. There's a threshold in which pretty much any artwork from ArtStation is going to apply to at this point.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is good. This looks good. And then everything above is sort of like, it's like a compressor, like audio compressor. It just compresses down to that baseline. It's like you could have Vitaly and you can have a person copying Vitaly not successfully. And for an average person, it's like, oh, it looks good, you know? But I don't blame them. I don't blame people for thinking that way. So,
it, you know, and
yeah,
you know, I think that because Eitan told me this as well, he's like, a lot of producers within the movie industry don't know a difference between a 5 and a 10 within quality.
Yeah, and not only movies, like pretty much everywhere, I would say.
Yeah.
You see that in games too, right? Like there's video games producers that are exactly the same way. They see like a random shitty image, like, oh, this looks so cool. It's like, what?
Yeah,
huh?
Man. Yeah.
What?
You've probably met these like, there are artists as well where when you see their portfolio, it looks fucking amazing, right? But there's a difference between having an amazing portfolio and being able to work professionally, because your portfolio exists out of everything that you could do and chose to do.
Yeah.
You know, for example, if you have in personal, right, and then you notice that I want to do a building there, but it just doesn't work, you just leave it out, right? But when you work professionally, they're like, fuck you, we need that building. And I've met people where they couldn't do it. They have amazing skills, but they just couldn't put themselves into that position of, okay, I'm just doing exactly what the client is telling me, you know?
Right. What do you think about that, by the way? Because I for whatever reason, I can understand why some people wouldn't want to do it. You know, it's like, hey, like this is my style, and you know, obviously it's limiting. It's obviously limiting, but what is your take on this?
Yeah, you know what I really hate, man, is when somebody sends me an email and then, hey man, can you do a couple of cars for us? And I'm like, where do you see cars in my portfolio, dude? Like, you know what, like, now I feel like I'm bad at it because I have this, you know, like, it's like you said, there's not much research on it. And I do agree that I appreciate a lot of artists which have their own style and they stick to it, you know. It's like, either you hire me for this or you just don't hire me. I don't care.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's both. It's two ways. Like, for me personally, at this point of my life and career, I just love the production design. I want to learn as much as possible about it. I still feel like I'm new to it. So for me, I just love working in production. But I do understand other artists which are like, no, I just want to do my own thing. I even salute that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. What is in the works for you in upcoming future?
Currently,
I'm not like abruptly switching targets
no, it's
right
fine,
now.
Man.
But...
I'm like that as well, bro. I'm like, you can ask anybody who knows me that I like to switch off, you know. Currently, I just finished 7 months working with Guerrilla Games on Horizon 2.
Cool.
And now I'm just taking it slowly. I have like 2 or 3 companies which I'm working for. One startup company which has a super interesting idea which I want to invest in. And I think 2 things for me currently. I'm not letting money guide my way. That's one thing.
Good.
Because that's one mistake that I can fall into really quickly, and this is an advice that I got from Max as well. I noticed that I love the whole promotion and PR thing around a project, or, you know, approaching clients and stuff, and I want to invest more time into that as well. Whereas I get to personally meet these people. That's why I actually want to move to LA to get to know that culture a bit more.
Right. Now it makes no sense because you're not going to meet anyone.
Yeah. Yeah. Not now. No, now it's like from a kilometer, you know, like, hey man, what's up? And honestly, I just have a couple of miles that I still want to hit, you know, in movies. I would love, like, one of the things is I want to work on a Marvel movie. I want to work on a Batman movie. It's just things that I used to love as a kid. I'm trying to do now because I have, you know, that's
getting that experience.
Yeah, and I let my inner kid drive me because so far it's gone good. So why would I, you know, doubt it? And from there on, man, trying to venture maybe in some other stuff, I'm always open for that. And yeah, just the way you do it, man. I think out of everybody from Naughty Dog, I think you are the guy that I most look up to, as in how your path unfolded. Like you just went into your own direction, and you know what I mean? And I kind of appreciate that.
that.
Yeah, I would love to do that.
Got it. Yeah, dude. I think, the way I approached it all was always, I want to try. If I fail, I fail. The worst I've been was a janitor. So,
yeah,
so it's like, okay, like, I mean, nothing's going to happen I mean, now it's different with kids, obviously. There's more to it. But generally speaking, it's like, yeah, I mean, I lived on borderline poverty most of my life. I can get by if I needed to. It wouldn't be comfortable at all, but, more willing to take risks and whatnot. But yeah.
It's a never-ending story, man. I think.
Always looking forward.
Right, and people can ask you right now, what do you want? But as well as I do, in 5 months, you all of a sudden get an email which directs you to a project with all of a sudden you never expected. So.
Right.
Lately, man, I'm just trying to embrace life as it comes my way, and at that moment, I'll know what to do. But I can't ponder and stress about it right now.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's a healthy perspective. Like whatever makes you feel like you're going the right way, but also is being validated, because, like, let's be real. Sometimes you think you're going the right way, and then until someone smarter tells you, like, no, that's not the way to go.
Not the direction. Yeah. yeah.
Then that's different, Cool. Dude,
yeah, man.
We've been doing this for an hour and a half.
Yeah, man.
I have something else to do very soon, so we're gonna have to wrap it up.
Yeah, it's like. But
10
years.
It was a pleasure to meet you. Like, you were recommended to the podcast by Eitan. Obviously, I respect Eitan.
Yeah.
And I've seen your work before. Now I see the face and understand who's the person behind it.
Yeah. You're not gonna tell Eitan his work is shit, right? I'm gonna be that guy. He was there because.
You can ask Eitan. I'm pretty open about how I feel about things.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's for me, it's how I've been telling people how I got so far. It's because at every workshop, dude, I introduced myself to people. I'm not waiting to be discovered, because I always expect to work twice as hard as the guy next to me. Right. Yeah. So that's my mentality. And even with this, the thing is not like, oh, I'm so good, I should be on Mathieu's podcast. I just wanted to be here because
it's not even a big podcast, dude. It's just like a small thing.
But that's the thing, right? Like I said, for me, this is a victory. Like for some other people, it's just a podcast. But for me, this is a victory because I got to talk with somebody which I look up to,
I appreciate that for sure, dude. I appreciate it. It's just all of it is weird for me, because it's just like that's not the reason. I don't do it just to like, oh, look at me, fucking.
Exactly, but that's the thing, right? It's I do feel that sense within you when you're talking on your podcast. It's just because you're just talking, right? And a lot of people like to hear that because you're humanizing the person behind the art.
I never thought I'm doing that, but now I'm thinking about it. Yeah, there is something in it. There's something about it. Yeah, because like you talk with people and then you learn who they are instead of who they are on the Instagram post.
Wouldn't you want to see a podcast when you were like 21, 22 of your favorite authors back in the day, right?
Yeah, 100%.
That's the thing. You gave that option to younger people right now, and it's just good, man. And I think outside of that, it's a great practice, because it's good to keep practicing, like basically socializing and talking, actually getting a new perspective within the industry.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, I really appreciate it to being on here, and hopefully we're gonna meet each other again in LA someday when this is all
not
over.
In LA. Not in LA, but perhaps maybe once things calm down and their conventions are possible again, then maybe, who knows.
Exactly.
We'll see how it goes, dude.
Yeah.
Okay, so where can people find your work?
On ArtStation, Danar Worya. On Instagram, it's Danar Worya Art.
Got it.
Yeah, that's my main two websites.
Perfect. Yeah, it's all gonna be listed. So
awesome.
Cool, dude. Nice chatting. Nice getting to know you, and chatting. That was fun.
Yeah, man. I appreciate it. I always love a good talk.
Yeah, for sure. Let's stay in touch. We might do it again soon. Who knows?
For sure, man.
Anyone who's listening, obviously, big thank you. If you want to help the podcast grow, I always say that. Just subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, share with friends, all that stuff.
Everything.
Do everything. Yeah, you can find it everywhere, man. It's everywhere. It's everywhere.
Yeah, man. It's like, that in Ghost in a Shell, the Mache sign. You fucking guy, man. When I saw that, I'm like, holy shit. Oh my god.
I was surprised too. That was a nod from the art department. That was pretty sweet of them.
Even in the trailer, right? That was really cool.
Yeah, that was like holy. Like when I saw the trailer, I was like, what? Well, I knew there's going to be something.
Right.
I think it was the PA told me about that, and I think the art director Richard Johnson told me about it too. So some and Rupert, they told me that there's going to be something, right? They just mentioned, and I was like, all right, I'll wait and see. And I saw a trailer. I was like, dude, I didn't think it was going to be that literal,
Dude, I can imagine that. I can imagine. What I love about life, it's like it's our inner child, right? So when you're sad, you are sad like a child, and when you're happy, you react like a child, right? Like super happy. And I can imagine how that is, man. Like in a moment like that, you don't even know how to react, Like, cool, but like this weird feeling go,
Yeah, it was trippy, dude.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, let's wrap it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, good times, man. Really good times. All right, wrap it up. Cheers.
Man. Cheers. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.